Sex assaults inside one of the largest federal agencies, and it is a story they did not want told. Yesterday, the News 4 team told you about postal employees robbed, even shot while delivering the mail.
But what about rape and sexual violence? Tisha Thompson and the News 4 team continue their investigations into postal crimes. We want to warn you, some of the details are graphic.
It was a frigid morning when we climbed this mountain near Albany, New York.
We made it!
To meet this woman, Diane Caruso-Rustin.
We're pretty tough up here.
Diane says she had to be tough to work more than a decade inside a large postal processing plant where they sort mail 24 hours a day.
The culture of the post office is, it's an old boys club.
Good at getting along with the guys working alongside her, Diane says she thought she was going to get a promotion when she walked into one of her manager's offices.
Next thing I know, he pushes me up against the wall. And he pushes down my left side of my pants, which, you know, those stretchy pants, and he licked my leg. I was like, you know, and I got startled, and then took his thing out, and he told me to kiss it.
The married mother of two says she pushed her way out of the room and quickly wrote down everything that happened before filing a formal complaint through her union. That, she says, is when the retaliation began.
One of the supervisors grabbed me and told me, you better keep your mouth shut if you know it's good for you.
Diane says the retaliation grew worse as a team of investigators tried to get her to sign an incorrect statement of facts. She refused. And that, not the assault, is what finally broke her.
It's the cover-up, the intimidation that they do to you.
The News 4 team has uncovered a list of reported sexual assaults against postal employees from across the country, never before released to the public, including more than a dozen here in our area within just the last few years. Records we obtained showed the assaults range from men groping and flashing mail carriers on their routes to more serious attacks like the violent rape of a postal clerk in Silver Spring. But then we saw this. When we added it all up, we realized 1 out of every 5 sexual assaults against postal employees were committed by other postal employees.
To ask somebody to get down on their knees in the middle of the aisle, in the middle of a workroom floor, to give you oral sex, I think is sexual. If that's not sexual harassment, what is?
Noelle Whalen says her managers repeatedly ignored multiple complaints she made about being harassed, stalked, and finally sexually assaulted by one of her supervisors inside this processing plant in Connecticut.
This is a person that I had asked numerous times not to touch me, not to go near me, not to speak inappropriately to me, and he then attacks me.
Noelle kept all of her paperwork, but when we asked the post office for its records on the investigation of her attack, we received hundreds of blank and redacted pages. But the post office assured us it has a zero-tolerance policy for sexual assault.
When the federal government is an employer and then it doesn't follow its own rules, that makes this sense of betrayal or, wrongness somehow worse.
Sexual violence experts like Maya Ragu say this list could be much longer because sex assault is one of the most underreported crimes. And as we discovered, Noelle and Diane's cases were investigated by their Human Resources Department, meaning their cases were never reported to the Postal Service's internal police force and never made it to our list.
If it's unwanted, then in most places that's probably some sort of battery, let's say, which is a crime.
To get answers, we repeatedly asked to interview Postmaster General Patrick Donahoe. Until in August, we were told by a spokeswoman if we tried to approach him, we could be investigated and arrested for threatening a postal employee. Which is how we ended up at this news conference at the Postal Museum 2 weeks ago, as the Postmaster General released a new holiday stamp. We counted at least 11 different people in his team scrambling to keep us from interviewing their boss, pleading with us not to approach him.
Mr. Donahoe, I'm Tisha Thompson with the News 4 team. Did you know that we've been trying to get a comment from you?
No.
Donahoe told us the Postal Service uses an extensive process to investigate violence against its employees.
There is nothing ever that is left uninvestigated. We prosecute people to the full extent of the law.
Some of your employees have told me that after they were sexually assaulted, they were retaliated against when they made a complaint.
The Postal Service has got a number of avenues for employees to air issues, whether it's the OIG hotline, the grievance process, EEOC. We have watched these carefully over the years. We've taken this very seriously and acted on it.
I'm sure as the boss, it also concerns you that your employees are saying that. What do you want to tell them?
Our employees are safe. We provide a safe environment. We provide an environment where if there is a problem, we respond to it.
Even though they worked in different plants in different states, both women say their attackers were allowed to retire while they continue to be retaliated against until they both went out on medical leave.
Let's hope that your reporting will bring some changes, because it sounds like some are due. Way to go, Tisha.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Tisha.
With holiday shopping ramping up, the post office is now delivering mail 7 days a week. But the News 4i team wondered just how often gifts make the men and women who deliver them targets of crime. Tisha Thompson and the I-team spent the last year uncovering information that postal employees say even they didn't know.
It seemed like any other February day for the well-known D.C. postal carrier on Webster Street in Northeast. But it all changed when two men robbed him at gunpoint before tying him up with duct tape, beating him, and throwing him from his delivery van.
I go in there and understand why anybody would try to assault or hurt him.
But neighbors now realize he was an easy target.
Every day, I know he's going to be here. I know what time.
We only found out about this robbery because the US Postal Service told us about it. They needed help finding the assailants. But the News 4i team discovered there are hundreds of similar crimes each year no one ever hears about until now.
Tablets, computers, jewelry.
Tom Dodge says the rise of internet shopping has made his job as a postal truck driver more dangerous than ever. The I-team obtained a nationwide list, never before released to the public, of more than 1,600 violent crimes committed against postal employees. We found robberies increased more than 300% in the last 4 years, some involving truck jackings, kidnappings, and shootings.
What we're told is just give it to them. If you give them your satchel of mail, if a big postal truck has stopped, give them whatever they want. Don't resist, just let them have it. But unfortunately, it doesn't mean much anything because many thieves today don't want witnesses. So they shoot.
The I-team discovered at least 64 shootings on the list, including the murder of Tyson Barnett, killed on his route delivering mail in Cheverly 1 year ago this week.
What do we want? Safety! When do we want it? Now! Up fast the general! Do you hear the message?
We were there when Dodge and union leaders from all over our region held a protest following Barnett's murder on the National Mall.
The sad thing is, when things are happening, they don't bring it to our attention. We'll hear word of mouth with someone else, but management doesn't come and say, hey, listen, be aware, this is what's going on.
The records we obtained show all kinds of employees getting robbed, including commercial truck drivers and mail clerks. But 84% of victims are the men and women who deliver the mail to your home. And they don't happen at night. Instead, we found 80% of robberies occurred during the day between 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. We spent months asking to interview Postmaster General Patrick Donahoe.
Mr. Donahoe, I'm Tisha Thompson with the News 4i team.
And finally caught up with him at a stamp event at the Postal Museum.
Robberies occur across America. We were represented in every city in the U.S., and it happens, unfortunately.
But your folks tell us they're easy targets, and they're worried about their safety, and they want the Postal Service to do more to protect their safety.
We provide very good safety for employees in areas that have high crime. We provide bulletproof glass. We make sure that people aren't out at night in terms of with money like that. We are very conscious of that issue.
But Dodge says they need more than the can of pepper spray they're given to protect themselves.
You shouldn't come to work every day and worry about whether you're going to be attacked. You shouldn't come to work today and worry about whether you're going to get hurt on the job today.
Many employees we talked with say the post office's police forces have been heavily cut, meaning there are fewer officers out there investigating crimes against postal employees. Tisha Thompson, News 4i team.
There's congressional action tonight as a direct result of a News 4 I-Team investigation into reported sexual assaults inside the US Postal Service.
I-Team reporter Tisha Thompson broke the story last week. She's here now with the latest on her investigation. Tisha?
Doreen, last week we showed you how internal records we obtained found at least 1 out of every 5 sex assaults inside the Postal Service was committed by postal employees against other postal employees. Now, the man in charge of the Postal Service's Oversight Committee on Capitol Hill says he wants answers.
That's just absolutely unacceptable. It's not right.
Congressman Blake Farenthold says he was appalled at what he saw when he watched our investigation into reported sexual assaults inside the U.S. Postal Service. He says it was the first time he had heard about the problem inside the second largest federal agency, and how some women say they were first assaulted by their supervisors and then retaliated against when they reported the attacks, like the one Diane Caruso Rustin says happened to her inside a postal processing plant.
Next thing I know, he pushes me up against the wall. And he pushes down my left side of my pants.
Farenthold says he is especially concerned about how hard it was for the I-Team to get any answers or an interview with U.S. Postmaster General Patrick Donahoe.
Our employees are safe. We provide a safe environment. We provide an environment where if there is a problem, we respond to it.
What concerns me the most was how difficult it was for you to get the information.
Farenthold is the chairman of the Postal Service's Oversight Committee in the U.S. House and says he wrote this letter to the Postmaster General after he watched our investigation. In the letter, he asks a series of questions about how the Postal Service plans to prevent sexual assault and sexual harassment.
We're going to see what the Postmaster has to say and look at the response to the letter. I think this is something that's probably worth having a hearing on Capitol Hill so we can listen to both sides of the issue and see what needs to be done.
Farenthold says he thinks at the very least the Postal Service needs to improve its training and create a better way for employees to report assaults so they can be investigated without retaliation, especially as in the cases we uncovered when the reported assailant also happens to be the victim's manager. If he doesn't like the answers he gets, he says he'll hold a hearing to see what Congress can do to combat the problem.
It's good to know that attention is being paid to issues that demand it.
Yeah, I mean, we had folks who told us it was a problem, and what we do is we try to figure out what we can do to help you fix it. So.
Thanks, Tisha.
All right. Keep us posted. Tisha Thompson.